On our third pillow, we're using two different yarns, which we're going to carry up the side of the pillow. And we're also using two different stitches. We're going to be using garter stitch, and we're also going to be using stockinette. Now here on my sample, I'm showing the wrong side because I want you to see how I want you to carry up the yarns. And on the previous row, I knit the first stitch with holding both strands together. But on the wrong side, I only want you to knit with one strand. So we're coming over here and we see we have it looks like two stitches, but it's actually only one with holding two strands together, and we're going to knit that stitch. And because the reason why I want you to do that is because you're changing every 6 or 4 rows, and I don't want you to have to cut and weave things in. Please feel free to do that, knitter's choice, whichever one you want. But the way that I worked it, now you can see the front. See, isn't it cool? The way that I want you to do it is, see how you have your 2 strands here. Only for the first stitch, I'd like you to knit those 2 together. And then we're going to drop we finished with the tan yarn, and now we're going to use the variegated. So we're going to knit across with the variegated. I did like the way this pillow turned out, and as I'm knitting across here, I want to let everybody know that the size is larger. The reason why the size is larger than the other pillows is because garter stitch, which you may or may not know, is the same height as it is wide. Stockinette stitch is higher than it is wide. So when we're using both of these techniques, your pillow is not going to be perfectly square. So it does turn out a little bit bigger than the others. But I love the way this technique. Now on this pillow, I also did use a stitch marker that I do move up. And the reason why I do this on the right side is the technique for the double decrease on the garter stitch, it looks like garter stitch. And on stockinette, it looks stockinette. And I just found that fascinating. Now, when you're knitting over here, your fingers do sort of tell you what's going on, that something is different. But I really do like to move my marker up. And I don't do it every row, but I do it on the 3rd row of the garter stitch section. And so I'm here, so I'm just going to move it up. This double decrease is exactly the same as in the Amazing Yarn, and we're going to knit until the first 1 stitch before the marked center stitch. We're going to slip those 2 stitches as if to knit the next stitch, and pass the 2 slip stitches over. And then we're going to continue knitting on. Now, since we're using the variegated yarn, which I will show you if you're still interested. If not, please turn off and go knit and have fun with these pillows. Is that on the wrong side row, since we are using the variegated, and we're now going to be working in stocking stitch, you're going to be purling. So on the wrong side row, I would like you to knit the first 3 stitches, purl until you have 3 stitches left on your left hand needle, and then you're going to knit again. And the great thing about this is that all the work is done on the right hand side, which is another little tip I wanted to leave everybody with. When the tail, in all 3 pillows you can use this, but when the tail of your work is on the right side by your right hand, you're just going to be knitting right along. Just knit right along. When your tail is on the left hand side, you're going to have lots of work to do. So that's the way I kind of remembered on the right hand side when you're working with all garter stitch, especially with the first pillow. You sometimes, unless you mark it, you can't really tell which is the right and the wrong side. So I could tell if my tail was on my left hand side, then that was the right side. Now see, look what I've done. I've just been chatting away. So here we have 3 stitches left on our left hand needle, and we're going to simply knit those stitches. And please remember that I would like you to only use one strand when we're knitting the last stitch, which we have the 2 knit together. Because as you can see from the right hand side, it's fairly invisible. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great time knitting these mitered squares. I just find them fascinating. Happy knitting.